this exciting? I am so happy to see all of you. Wow, I've been told that whenever there's any whisper of a meeting, most people don't come. So this is great. But when there's food, we were smart. We offered food. And also, I kept saying we're going to make it a part of the service. And basically, I'm going to say a few words, but the meeting part of it is going to take the place of the sermon. So you all have a bulletin? So I welcome you all. In terms of, I think I've been pretty detailed about announcements, but we do have a couple that need to be made regarding financial things, which you're going to do, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you, Anne-Marie.
Okay, just managed to get, I'm sorry it's in black and white, but I had to actually pull up my phone because it doesn't read the actual great discounts you're getting. But in Fun Script for May, celebrating Mother's Day, you can get 8%, give 8% to the church if you buy a gift certificate through Winners, Home Sense, or Marshalls. And I'm sure any woman would love either a gift certificate or a gift from those places. And 8% from Indigo chapters. And that one's a real easy one because when you put the money down, the next day you get an electronic one and then you just transfer it to your app, and you don't have to wait 5 days, 6 days to come in the mail. And Boston Pizza, if you want to take them on. If you want to take the mums in your life or your daughters, I know some of us, our mums are not really ready for Boston pizzas, and some of us will be taking our daughter-in-laws instead. 8%. So, and again, Boston Pizza has a digital coupon as well, so you could buy it and you can get it. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I tried that. It's not true. You have to wait 5 or 6 days for that one. So if you want to, those are great opportunities to give the church 8%. And typically I would, myself, a $100 gift certificate from Winners for my daughter-in-law is just perfect. That's 8% for the church and she gets $100. So I think that would be a great Mother's Day gift for them. So again, if you need any help, call me, get me. I will help you get on Fun Script. We're just starting to kind of get a little bit of a momentum. And I can reiterate that Trinity, I know it's a bigger church, but they did $30,000 in fundraising over 3 years. So I'm not sure we'll be that big, but it's a great fundraising opportunity. You get the $100, and the church is given 8% of that, so $8 if you do it that way. I'm doing the $100 because it's easy math for me. Okay, so that's one. And I've also taken Vina's lead, and I've printed out some PAR bulletins. Right now they're in black and white. When I went to go get them printed, they were very expensive, so I'll just wait to get them done in color when I go down and see my son. But it's a great little brochure that tells you exactly how PAR works. On the 20th of them, the idea is you figure out how much you're going to give in a year, divide it by 12, and just fill it out. And that way, the church gets the money no matter what and helps us pay.
You can be in Florida or on the road or wherever you are.
And that type of thing. And then we have a known amount. We have no problem paying Meg's salary.
Which is a good thing.
Again, I've done it for years. And even when I was in Spain, living in Spain, I still gave to the church that I belonged to in Toronto through PAR. I attended it probably twice a year at that point when I was home, but it's a great way to do that. And then it just comes out automatically on the 20th of each month. So it's just before your CPP and old age security, but it's not bad. For us, we get the rest of our pension on the 15th, so we're okay. But the 20th is the day it comes out. And it automatically goes into the bank account, and when you come here, all you have to do is come. Not worry about whether you have $5 in your pocket or $10 in your pocket to give it the offering. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yes, Mark?
Well, we're talking money. The purple boot Granny is here today.
Oh, yeah.
And so is the Purple Boot, and it's on the lunch table. So if you feel so inclined or feel like you've missed out in putting a bit into the Purple Boots, this Purple Boot season, which ends in May, and the hike is next Sunday, please do. Thank you.
Great, yes, I have to sign. I said that I would join you, Karen. Is the time up for joining a team? Okay, I thought I'd join your team. And it's a wonderful thing having a hospice and an active hospice and a hospice that includes volunteers from the community. That makes it a very significant organization in our community. So and people are blessed by it. It's just a very, very good thing to have a positive attitude towards what we all have to do. We all will die, and to do it in a pain-free way and a gentle way. And I've been in a room where the staff come in and they're very pastoral, very, very good about the realities that are being lived out by the families and the person that's dying. So I really urge you to support that and keep that going in our community.
Meg, I have an announcement too.
And Gundy would like to say something? Yeah.
I want to thank everybody who attended our cancer dinner yesterday. It was a huge success, and I think the best part was that the community felt good getting together again after 4 years. And then next Saturday, May the 6th, from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock is our annual day of service. It's in the Dwight Market parking lot, free hot dogs and pop, and we ask you to bring a non-perishable food item for the food bank.
Or money.
Or money, yeah. And what it is, it's called the Chris Lewis Memorial Day of Service. Chris Lewis was a district governor who about a decade ago, for the 41 clubs in our area, decided that we will do a day of service, and that was the first Saturday in May. This movement, because of one man, is now all over the world. And it started right here in Muskoka. So
It started in Muskoka.
Well, Chris, because the district governor every year chooses a project, and his project was to have a day of service where clubs do something for their community. So, we chose to do free lunches.
Great. Okay. Are any Rotarians here? No, there was a time when I joined the Rotarian Club. I couldn't attend during the day, but there was an early morning meeting, so I joined that group for a while, and that's how I got involved in dragon boat racing. I became the dragon boat keeper of the dragon boat, and we did all kinds of things with the dragon. So I'm going to light the Christ candle and acknowledge that this moving flame represents Christ in our midst, or the presence of God in our midst. Christ and God who lives within us through the Spirit, between us through the Spirit, and in the entire universe, and for this we give thanks. I want to acknowledge this land that we inhabit, and the history of this land, and the many peoples who were here before our ancestors. I don't know, well, maybe not yours, but the acknowledgement of the indigenous people who were here long before the Europeans arrived. And within the indigenous community, there are the Métis Nation, the First Nations, many First Nations across the country, and the Inuit people across the north, the land of the ice and snow. We have much to learn from them, and I was visiting Judy Bath yesterday, and I've agreed that I will read for you, or pronounce for you, or declare for you one of the 7 grandfather teachings. I found out through this little book that those 7 sacred teachings can also, and this is very important, are also known as the teachings of the white buffalo calf woman. There's a story there about how things transformed from the white buffalo calf woman to the grandfather, and it has to do with things like when our colonial ancestors came here and asked to speak to your leader, and they brought forward an elderly woman, and they said, "Oh no, that can't be the leader. Where's the man? Where's your patriarch?" And that was the beginning of a shift in Indigenous culture, which they're just trying to get over, because within that culture there is a great deal of respect for women and for the sacred feminine. But that's a whole other story. I want to acknowledge it, though, as a part of our presence and our living here and soaking up the way in which the land supports us and the way in which we have relationship with the land, even though we don't know it. So we're going to begin with an introit. We'll do this twice, Cynthia. Welcome to Cynthia and Steve. We're very blessed to have live music, especially when we gather together as a whole group. So behold, I make all things new, and that's in voices. I have more voices if someone would like a copy of this. Does everyone have a copy? Okay. So let's go. Say the light text and you say the bold. In the presence of God, who works in us and others by the Spirit, we are called to gather with hope. In the presence of God, who comes in Jesus to reconcile and make new, we are called to gather with thanks. In the presence of God, who has created and is creating, we are called to gather with wonder and awe. This is God's Wondrous World is the name of our opening hymn, Voices United 296. We'll give you a moment, and then I think we will stand if we are able. tomorrow. That's just an example of the way in which our church is adapting to the times, and in many ways how we're reclaiming that ancient recognition of the sacred being both male and female. So here we don't even talk about male or female, we just talk about God. So let us say our prayer of approach together. Holy One, we come before you with all of who we are, our joys and sorrows, our achievements and mistakes, our hopes and fears. We come seeking the fullness of life you offer, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And so we've got a reading today, and this is a text from the lectionary. I did not choose it in any way. In other words, this is a synchronicity moment where we hear a story about the early church, and here we are as the modern church gathered for an annual meeting. So, Catherine.
Scripture is a living word, passed on from generation to generation. May it guide and inspire us, so that we might wrestle a holy revelation from it for our own time and our own place. Amen. Today we hear a text from the lectionary readings for this day, telling a story about Christianity at the very beginning. Acts 2:42-47. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. Awe came upon everyone, because many wonders and signs were being done by the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their possessions and goods and distribute the proceeds to all as any had need. Day by day, as they spent much time together in the temple, they broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having the goodwill of all the people. And day by day, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Thanks be to God.
So we're, the sermon part of our worship is going to be taken up by our annual meeting. The progression of church business, of being church in our world, has changed from that scene of the early Christians gathering and sharing food together and sharing their resources. I had the experience of this text coinciding with the confirmation class. And we had an evening service, and the lectionary offered this text. So a young man who happened to be the son of a very well-known financier in the church and in the community, he read that story. And the father came up to me afterwards, and we were having a little reception afterwards, and he said, "What is that claptrap that your communist claptrap socialist nonsense that you had my son reading from the lectionary?" And I said, "Well, that's the lectionary text for the day, and that's what the early church was doing. That's it. That's the story. Deal with it." I didn't say that. I was much more pastoral in my approach. But it is a shock if you really, really look at where it all started. And early history is something that I'm finding myself more and more interested in. How did those early Christians express their faith, and how did the church become what we are now? So I'm just going to read you a little quote from a woman who is doing some wonderful work of storytelling out of her own life. And she says, "When I think about the resurrection now, I don't only think about what happened to Jesus, I think about what happened to his disciples. Something happened to them. They went into hiding after the crucifixion, but after the resurrection appearances, they walked back out into the world. They became braver and stronger. They visited strangers, healed the sick. It was not just what they saw when they saw Jesus or how they saw it, but what was set free in them." We spend so much time in church believing in the resurrection or not believing the 6 impossible things that you have to believe before breakfast, that we lose the point. What if the resurrection, which is, we're in the season of resurrection now, it's what the church is doing all over the world. What does this resurrection mean? What does Easter mean for us in the 21st century? If it's not about the appearances of Jesus alone, but also about what those appearances pointed to and what they, but also about what those appearances pointed to, what they asked. And it is finally what we do with them that matters. Make them into superstitions and traditions that we have to keep, or use them as stepping stones to step into the future, the new life before us. And in that regard, I am going to call upon Anne-Marie Switzer, who has been she was called to be the treasurer of this charge about a year ago, right? A little over a year ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
Probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah, so you were at the last annual meeting.
Yes.
But you've basically been working hard over the last year, and it's been no picnic. So please, we give you our thanks. Jennifer Parker would normally be leading this meeting, but she delegated to Anne-Marie because she had a client that she couldn't refuse, right?
Actually, she should be, next time, congratulate her. She managed to be in the top 10 of North Remax, which is, she was number 6, which is phenomenal in itself. And because of that, she's extremely busy.
Very, yeah.
May, were we gonna sing Nicole?
Oh, Skinnamuputuku, yes. Yes, of course, I do apologize. Called by Earth and Sky. So we did this last Sunday. We did it with recorded music accompaniment. And I thought, I had so many comments from people, I thought, boy, that is a call by the Earth and Sky to us as church today in the 21st century. And it is the reason most people come to Muskoka, and the demographics around here just burst over the summer. And I'm told we're a church, we're a summer church. I'm going to find out what that means, but let's sing it. Thank you for reminding me, Cynthia. Let's stand again, if we're able. Hold my earth and sky, promise of hope and life. This is our thank you, and I apologize.
How do you prefer me, here or up there? Can everybody see me here? That way if I, okay. Okay, so the first thing we have to do, Meg did the welcoming, so that's over with. And it's a motion to appoint Karen Markham as secretary for the meeting. So I make the motion, and Marv has seconded, or firsted, or whatever. And Michael has seconded, whatever.
I'm sorry,
I'm making the motion. Marv and Michael. Okay. All in favor? It's a good thing, because if you said no, you'd have to find somebody else. The next motion I have to make, or I want to make, is to make sure that everybody here present can vote. I need a seconder, Berna and Ruth. And the third thing is to approve the agenda. And the agenda is really we'll go through the annual report, and then the new business is Constitution and the Vision and Technology. So I make the motion, if we can have Kathy? I'm looking for Michael for a second. There you go. All in favor? Oh, we didn't vote on the other one, did we?
so who seconded?
Oh, Michael, yeah. And Kathy. And Kathy. Yeah,
Kathy.
nice job. Okay, I think we're ready. So I'm just gonna, we sent out the annual report ahead of time. Hopefully everybody got it to take a look at it online. I have only about 7 copies for those who don't have internet. I'm not sure if they've already been given out or not, but there's some back there. And I'm gonna ask you to read them at your own. But on that was 2 things. It was the annual report plus the updated Constitution. Okay, so I'm just going to give a brief summary of the report, and then make a motion to approve it, and then we can open for discussion. Okay, coming out of COVID shutdowns, we're actually seeing a rise in attendance, and this is just wonderful. My heart sings. I'm looking at everybody here. I can tell you the last one we did, I think we had 20 people. Yes.
Sorry, Anne Marie, I think we do a motion, second, discussion, and then vote. Is that what you said?
Well, that's
Yes.
how you're supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't
I may
quite
have
clear.
skipped a step because
Or you may
I
just-
didn't expect this many people, so I'm nervous. But that is the intent, yes. Which is really great. We've seen our joint services that we had at the beginning of this year have been really well attended. And I could say last year we didn't have very many joint services at the beginning because we were still shut down for COVID. So it's just been really great to see a lot of people come out. Amazingly, over this COVID time, we've seen a large acceptance of actually watching our church service online. And Karen, you said something about that. What was the number you picked?
I forget.
It was over 100 people have actually
115 or something in the last
115 that
28
actually have
days.
seen our church service, which is amazing. So it's a lot of work to do. So I think that's one thing. We're accepting technology and we're moving forward with it.
That was
Is
in
that
the
every
last
week?
28 days.
Yeah, in the last 28 days. Sorry, I meant. I'm trying to make it brief. You could tell, right? So this was also my first full year as treasurer, and also the first full year where we had a bookkeeper administrator. And what I tried to do, my goal was to just kind of learn, because I did have to learn. I learned a lot over the last year, and I learned to work fairly well with all of our communities here. But the goal in the end is to simplify what we were doing, and in the process make it more transparent. So we'll see more of that coming out this year as we rolled out this year, but that was really the goal of last year for me personally, and I think we managed to be successful with that. Going through the year, September saw the first phase of the Knox Revitalization Project complete, and the entrance dedicated to Stephanie and Ross Radjon. And that was a great achievement for Knox, and I think we could learn from you. I'm trying to find all the Knox people here. In October, we said actually in September, we actually said our final goodbyes to Nina. And then thankfully, by thanking her for the year that she gave us, because I know we paid her, but she gave us an awful lot through that year because she managed to hold us together through COVID and introduce more technology to us, as well as bring us up to the ability to have Meg here. And again, I thank Marg and her team on the search committee to make that happen. On top of that, December saw a new roof for Pioneer and a new partial roof for Stewart. We ended up sitting on the same person that Marg had got, or Marg, I shouldn't say Marg. Scott managed to contract for the Pioneer roof, and we got the small church here, the back roof, it was leaking and it got repaired as well. So again, a major achievement for 2022. Throughout the report, so I'm just doing a summary of the reports, but throughout the reports, there was a common thread. And the common thread was really our fundraisers. And maybe it's because I'm the treasurer that I pointed out that every church mentioned it in the report. And to me, what those fundraisers did, because we did it as a charge, is actually brought the three churches together in a community bonds and in fellowship, or in our case, it was sistership, because I don't think I won't give the women that one. We have had help from the men, but I'll give the women that one. And I'm just going to highlight them because they were really quite successful. The Lions Dinner, which was Jan McDonald, started off and did a phenomenal year last year until her health took a turn. She got us going, and last year we managed to do over $2,000 for the time that we did it. And I will say that there was a little bit, we didn't have that many Lions last year, right? So that was a very good turnout for that. And the way that works is that alternatively, each church takes a turn planning the meal and arranging for help to serve it, cook it, and at the Lions. So this year, we have actually already made that in our Lions fundraising. And I can predict that we'll probably get up to about $6,000 for the year. That's $2,000 per church. So that's a great fundraising that everybody here I've seen in that kitchen at one point in time. So it's good, and it's a way of sharing among lots of people. And I've made a lot of good friends. I wouldn't have had, I did, I've met a lot of people that way. From somebody who just moved up here, by the way, because that was part of it too. The Christmas cookies, the grandma Christmas cookies that we put together, had a group of people get together at Pioneer and bake cookies. We did.
Yeah, Michael was there.
I managed to get 150 recyclable boxes. I'm saying that because they weren't plastic and you could put them and they would dispose of it correctly in the recycling, because that's a big one for me. And each box of cookies, we managed to put about a dozen cookies in it, and a variety of cookies. And we sold them for $10 each at the Dwight Farmers Market or Christmas Market at the Lake of Bays Garden Center. We were sold out by 11 o'clock. We made $1,500 doing that. And we made over $500 in donations where people just donated to the church. So that was a wonderful way of just getting together and learning how to make different Christmas cookies, because I think I did a lot of research to find the recipes, and I'm sure other people did too. And getting together and actually having some fun. And then the final fundraiser, we actually realized $5,300, and that was a Christmas letter, which your leadership team puts together. It's a way of us actually going through our mailing list as well at the time and cleaning it up, which Karen very nicely does. And giving everybody a Christmas card with just a financial update from our board chair, Jennifer, and our minister. And some of this money probably would have come in anyways, but a lot of it came in because we reminded them that we exist, like some of the seasonal people that we exist, and that we exist in the Winterwood as well. So that was a very fruitful endeavor. And again, that was an afternoon. I think, did we do lunch this time? I can't remember.
There were leftovers from that marvelous lunch that Jennifer arranged.
Oh, right. So it was just a way of doing it. So anyways, that's kind of the update of the, like I went through the 13 pages and summarized it for you. I'm not going to go through each of those reports, we don't have to, I don't think, if you read it ahead of time, or you could read that. So at this point, I'd like to make a motion to accept the 2022 annual report.
Here.
Okay. Kathy and Mark. And before we vote, any questions, any comments, discussion? Or if you want to bring something up that I didn't in my words? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the, are we talking about the budget separately, or is that just part of?
The budget was already approved.
Okay, the budget was approved.
Yes, in the last time we got together, our budget was approved.
Okay, so I just have a comment on the budget, just for everybody's edification. You know, we're in deficit spending. And so that has a challenge. And so I just, did some quick math here. There's over 35 people in the room. And do you realize if everybody in this room just agrees to put $13 a week in, the $24,000 goes away. So just something to think about. That's a hamburger and a cup of coffee. And then next year we would be in a neutral position, maybe even in a plus position. So there's a challenge, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Making sure we put those in the minutes too.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready for the question now? All in favor? I think we're approved. I don't think there's anybody opposed. Okay, the second thing, so on to new business. I'm going to say Ruth was the one who put the original constitution together. Somebody did.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth and her group.
Yeah, in your group.
Actually, it was a group of volunteers before we formed the leadership team, and then the leadership team just.
So it's been
started
around
with
for a
that.
long time.
It's been around since 2013.
Oh wow, okay, so we really haven't revisited it for that long. So in one of the leadership group got together with representation from each of the churches, and we went through line by line the Constitution and kind of made it a little bit more up to date and fit our community more in the Constitution. Anything that's not mentioned there, we go back to the United Church Manual. So there's committees like the MNP has a certain function. That's already described in the manual. We don't have to describe it in this. This is just how we work. So I'd like to make a motion. Again, it was sent out with, and there's some copies back there for those people that don't have internet. There's some copies there you can have. I'd like to make a motion to accept, oh sorry, that's the wrong one. I'd like to make a motion to approve and submit to the United Church of Canada for approval our new constitution. And Dundee is going to
Make the motion.
okay, and Michael. Thank you, Michael. You're so good at this.
He does it at Lions too.
And
So if I could just say one little thing. This is what's called a living document, and this is a long-standing tradition of ways to look at these kinds of documents that, that's the way it is right now, but it's open for adaptation and change through the years as we change. So it's a living document, just to say that.
yes, and we were going to go through it and point out the changes, and we thought we'd just call it a new constitution instead because it was easier. Okay.